Chair.
Thank you for your patience. Thanks for attending the virtual meeting of planning on today, on the 26th of May. For those of you who don't know, my name is Councillor June Molyneux and I'm Chair of the committee. Councillor Chris France is Vice Chair. Also present are officers and councillors who will be asked to introduce themselves in a moment. As this is the first time we've conducted a virtual planning meeting, please bear with us. Please note it's an audio-only meeting and being recorded. The audio stream will be live on YouTube. The web address for this can be found on the website, Council's website, sorry. If you've joined the call because you're a member of the public who has registered to speak, please note the time limit is up to 3 minutes. Your microphone will be unmuted when I invite you to speak. The legal officer will operate a stopwatch and confirm when your time runs out. You should then finish, or if in the middle of making a point, wind up within a few seconds. Otherwise, the microphone will be muted. For ease, a pack has been prepared containing reports, plans, presentation slides, and any addendum for each item to ensure everyone can easily follow this. This is available online. After officers have presented the report and any speakers have made representations, I'll invite each member in alphabetical order to make any comments to ensure every member has the opportunity and aren't speaking over each other. When speaking, please reference the page number on the agenda and paragraph number to enable us to follow. Our legal officer, Alex, will repeat the motion before a vote is taken to ensure everyone is aware of what is being voted on. I'll call upon each member alphabetically to vote and Alex will confirm the outcome. If technology fails, then I'll adjourn the meeting for a few minutes to try and resolve the issue. Or if this isn't possible, a new date and time will be organised. Please can I ask all members to confirm they can hear and speak before the meeting begins. I'll call out each member in alphabetical order. Councillor Beaver?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Boardman?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Corns?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Gordon France?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor G?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Gray?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Hargreaves?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Holgate?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Morwood?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Whittam?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Whitaker?
Yes.
Councillor France?
Yep.
Also our officers, Adele Hayes?
Yes, I can hear you, Chair. Thank you.
Alex Jackson, the legal officer?
Yes. Yes, Chair.
And Philippa Braithwaite, Democratic Services. So it's just Philippa that can't hear us.
Chair, you also have Ian Crossland on the phone.
Okay. Item 1, apologies. There's been apologies from Councillor Hilton and Dalton. Councillor Holgate and Corns are substituting. Minutes of the meeting, Tuesday the 3rd of March. Pack for virtual meetings, pages 3 to 6. Proposed by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Morwood. I'll ask each member to vote on the minutes. Councillor Beaver?
Pass them, please.
Councillor Boardman?
Yes, approved, Chair.
Councillor Combs?
I wasn't present.
It doesn't matter. Councillor France?
Approve them, Chair.
Councillor G?
Approve the meeting minutes.
Thank you. Councillor Gray?
Approve.
Councillor Hargreaves?
Approve.
Councillor Holgate?
Approve.
Councillor Morwood?
Approve.
Councillor Whittam?
Approved.
Councillor Whitaker?
Approve.
Councillor France?
Approve.
And myself, I approve those minutes. So those minutes are approved. Item 2, any declarations of interest. Members are reminded of the responsibility to declare any pecuniary interest. As it's a virtual meeting, if a member has a pecuniary interest, they're requested to leave the call completely rather than just mute their microphone. Members can rejoin the call following the completion of the item. I have no declarations of interest. Item 3, planning applications to be determined. We have 4 items today. For the benefit of the public listening, the speaking arrangements for planning are as follows. The officers will summarise the report. Registered speakers will be invited to speak in this order: objectors, supporter, parish town councillor, ward councillor, applicant or agent. All registered speakers will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes, apart from a ward councillor who may speak for 5. In the event that all speakers are against an application, as chair, I will grant the applicant or representative a time extension. Alex, our legal officer, will tell you when your time starts and when it's up. I respectfully ask members of the public who haven't registered to speak to remain quiet. Item 3A, Chimney and Building, Withnell Fold Mill. Your pack, pages 7 to 34, with an update on your addendum. Crossland's going to present this item. The officer recommendation is that the Section 73 application is approved, subjected to conditions and a supplemental section of 106 agreement. I have no registered speakers. Ian, could you present the item, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Planning permission was granted in August 2013 for the redevelopment of the Withnell Fold Mill site. This included the refurbishment and restoration of the chimney and associated building to form an office, and the demolition of the remaining buildings and erection of 37 dwellings. The mill and chimney building at the base have been refurbished and converted to offices. However, the remainder of the development is unfinished. The application site is located in the green belt at the western edge of Withnell Fold Conservation Area, immediately adjacent to the Leeds-Liverpool Canal. The application seeks permission to vary Condition 3 attached to the original planning permission for the development in order to alter the positioning of plots 34 to 37, which comprises a row of townhouses alongside some associated alterations to the elevations. Primarily, the alterations would result in the row of houses being split. Sorry, I'm having a problem with my technology here. Apologies. My system has gone down. The houses would be split in two, and they would be repositioned 12 metres to the east. This is in response to the identification of a drainage network beneath the position of the previously approved dwellings that cannot be built over. The primary impact of the changes will be that the dwellings at plots 34 to 37 will be positioned closer to the existing dwellings at Park Mews. This would result in them being located approximately 23 metres from the existing dwellings at Park Mews and around 12 metres from the rear garden boundaries to these properties. Although these plots will be repositioned at a higher level than originally approved, they would continue to remain at a lower level relative to those dwellings at Park Mews. The degree of separation that will be achieved is compliant with the guidelines sought by the Council for new developments, and the impact on the amenity of the occupiers at Park Mews is therefore considered to be acceptable. The proposed repositioning and elevation alterations would have little impact on the appearance of the development as a whole and would continue to reflect the essence of the previously approved scheme. There would be some reduction in visitor car parking provision. However, these are a benefit of the development rather than a requirement, and it is therefore considered acceptable. Overall, it's considered that the proposed amendments to the planning permission are acceptable, and the application is recommended for approval subject to conditions and a supplemental Section 106 agreement. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Ian. I'll now ask each member in alphabetical order for any comments, any recommendations, proposals. Okay. Councillor Beaver.
Yes, Chair. Are there no objections?
Ian?
Yes, we have received a number of objections to the application.
Objectors, sorry. Objectors.
Oh, to speak now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there's any.
Right. Well, okay. In that case, then, Chair, could I just ask Ian then the diagram that is on page 30. Give me 1 second. Page 17, which shows the numbers 34 to 37. Are they the new positions? And I know there's no scale to it, or is that the old positions?
They're the proposed positioning of the dwellings. Yeah.
Right. And the only question I've got to ask then is, you said it's something like 20 metres, the distance to the rear boundaries, but I thought it was more than that.
Sorry, through you, Chair. The distance between the dwellings will be 23 metres. The council's interface standards for facing habitable room windows is 21 metres.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm minded to approve this. I note on paragraph 7 where Councillor Margaret France has concerns of the proposed changes to certain properties on Park Mews, but if it sits within the guidelines, then I'm all right with that.
Okay. Councillor Boardman.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm happy to support the officer's recommendation, so long as Ian stated that the proposal is within our guidelines.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Corn?
Yes, I'm happy to support the proposal as well.
Thank you. Councillor Gordon-France?
Just two queries, really. I noticed one objection has come of loss of privacy and loss of light with the movement of the new properties nearer to Park Mews. Our officers quite happy to see that there are no privacy issues.
Through you, Chair.
Yeah.
The council's interface standards have been designed with that in mind, in terms of protecting people's amenity through privacy, overlooking and light, and the proposals fall well within the council's guidelines, or at least 2 metres more than what we would normally expect through our guidelines. So it's an acceptable impact in our view.
Okay. Councillor?
I mean, the only other comment I would make is, obviously, it's a village that parking is very difficult. I appreciate the extra parking for visitors. It is a reduction. I realise it's an extra, so yeah. Okay.
Okay. Councillor Danny G?
Very happy with the officer's recommendation.
Okay. Councillor Gray?
I have no problem with this application.
Thank you. Councillor Hargreaves?
Just a couple of points. I'm okay to go with 73. A couple of points I'd like to make is, A, are they going to be in the same precast stone as the ones that are originally there at the moment, the road that was recently built? Parkview, are they going to be precast stone instead of original stone?
Through you, Chair. The materials are yet to be approved, but we would be looking for the materials to reflect those in the locality, certainly.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, my other point as well is regarding conditions about the construction and the movement of heavy vehicles. So the road is cobblestone and has been for many years, and it's a lovely feature. Are the features going to be maintained and retained, and are we going to see some conditions in respect of making sure that there is no damage to some of the walls, and some of the walls can be retained, and certainly to the cobblestone?
Through you, Chair. The planning permission's already been granted, and the applicant's only seeking to vary condition 3, which is the approved plan. So there was a plan requiring a construction method statement, and we would look to for them to adhere to that throughout the development.
Okay. Councillor Holgate.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, given the distances involved, there doesn't seem to be a planning reason to decline this alteration to the plan. However, I was just wondering, I read somewhere in the report that a complainant was raising the issue of consultation, and that residents have been consulted on the previous scheme. I take it that an alteration of this type does not require us to go out to consultation a second time.
Ian?
Yes, through you, Chair. Residents were consulted on the application in the same way as they would have on the first application. I'm not sure whether the net was cast as widely, but certainly all the residents of Park Mews and those affected would have received a letter from us, and there would have been a newspaper advert and the site notice.
Okay, I'm happy to go with the officer's recommendation then.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Morwood?
I'm happy to support recommendations.
Right, thank you. Councillor Whittam?
I'm also happy to go along with the officer's recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Whittaker?
I may be a minority of one, but I'm not, for several reasons. When Ian was introducing the application, he talked about this being in the green belt, talked about it being in the conservation area, and he talked about guidelines which were for new development. This is a major change from that which was originally approved. I don't know the site well. Had we been in a committee, I would have been asking and looking at plans. It's very difficult to look at the plan that's on the paperwork here to see exactly where we're talking about in distances, the conservation area, some old cottages there on the street. So I would be asking members to, and I would propose that we have a site visit. It's a major change. from what was originally approved. I think we should be very careful when we're looking in a conservation area, the green belt, and we're looking at guidelines which are approved for new developments. This is a new development, either new houses, but it's different from a new estate in an urban environment.
Okay.
My proposal, I'm not happy with it, and my proposal will be for a site visit.
Okay. Ian, do you want to come back on anything Councillor Whittaker said?
Just for you, Chair. Yeah, it is an application that has been previously approved on the basis, and obviously the impacts on the green belt and the conservation area were covered in the first assessment. This application is looking to move 4 previously approved dwellings, obviously 12 metres from their originally approved position.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Fram?
Chair?
I'll come back to you.
Okay.
Personally, I wasn't vastly in favour of the first application, but it was approved, and I can't really see a planning reason to be able to refuse this one since it's already got a pre-existing condition. So I have to vote for it because there's no reason to vote against it on the planning grounds, in my view.
Okay. Right. What I will do now, I think I've got a proposal from Councillor Boardman. If somebody would formally second that, I've got a proposal for a site visit, but no seconder. So I'll go through everybody in alphabetical order and see if there are any further comments. Councillor Beaver, any further comments?
Just one as an observation from what's just been said. Happy with everything else, but these 34 to 36. On Google Earth, 37. On Google Earth, that's covered by trees. Now, I get that the rest of it, the technical was a brownfield site, so now we're building on brownfield site. But am I right in thinking that these 4 houses are going to be sited where there are currently trees?
Ian?
Yeah, through you, Chair. There are no trees on the site at present, and obviously the houses that were approved would have been within that parcel of land in any event.
Okay.
Right.
Councillor Boardman?
No more comments.
Sorry.
No more comments, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Corns?
No comments.
Councillor Franz?
Yes, I'm prepared to second Councillor Whittaker's proposal for a site visit. I know the area well, and I believe this is to move because of the original positions would have been over drains, which cannot be positioned there. But I'm happy to second Councillor Whittaker's site visit.
Thank you. Councillor G.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if you seconded, but I'm happy to second the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Gray.
No comment.
Councillor Hargreaves.
I'm in support of the site visit.
Well, I'll go to that in a minute. Councillor Holgate.
No comment.
Councillor Morwood.
I think we're getting a little bit over the top here, personally. This has been approved, 4 houses. We're simply moving the houses a little nearer to, unfortunately, but we're still within the recommended distances, and we're splitting the 4 into two in virtually the same place to accommodate the fact that they've found drains. So, other than that, I have no further comment.
Thank you. Councillor Whittam.
I have no further comment.
Councillor Whittaker.
Well, I support the site visit. I think this is a major change, and as it's described in the paperwork, and I think we should have a look at it.
Okay. Councillor Franz.
No comments, Chair.
Myself, I think the site visit, we've already done all that. It's just these 4 houses, my opinion. Anyway, but I'll go to the vote first. I'll take the amendment first. It was proposed by Councillor Whittaker, seconded by Councillor Gordon-France, that there should be a site visit. So, members, Alex, do you want to confirm what we're doing now?
Yes, if I could just confirm, Chair, that a vote is being taken on a proposed site visit, and therefore not a determination today on the application.
So that's for and against, or abstain a site visit. Councillor Beaver, for or against?
Against.
Yeah. Councillor Boardman? Councillor Corns?
Against.
Councillor France?
For.
Councillor G?
Against.
Councillor Gray?
Against.
Councillor Hargreaves.
For.
Councillor Holgate.
Against.
Councillor Morwood.
Against.
Councillor Whittam. Councillor Whittam.
Against.
Councillor Whitaker.
For.
Councillor France.
Abstain.
Abstain, right. Councillor Molyneux, me. Against. Alex?
Thank you, Chair. I confirm there are only 3 votes for a site visit, 1 abstention, and there were 9 votes against. So the motion for the site visit is lost.
Okay, now I'll move on to the officer recommendation. That was proposed by Councillor Boardman and seconded by, I've lost my paper, seconded by Councillor G. Alex, do you want to?
Yes, I can confirm, Chair, that the vote now that's been taken is a proposal to support the officer recommendation to approve the Section 73 application subject to the conditions in the report and a supplemental Section 106 agreement.
Okay. I'll go all for and against the officer recommendation or abstain. Councillor Beaver?
For.
Councillor Boardman?
For.
Councillor Corns?
For.
Councillor France?
Abstain.
Councillor G?
For.
Councillor Gray?
For.
Councillor Hargreaves?
Abstain.
Councillor Holgate?
For.
Councillor Morwood?
For.
Councillor Whittam?
For.
Councillor Whitaker?
Against.
Councillor France?
Abstain.
And myself, I'm for. Alex?
Thank you, Chair. I can confirm that members have approved the application subject to the conditions of the report and a supplemental Section 106 agreement.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to item 3B. 19-00132 for Bookshaw Hall, pages 35 to 62 in your pack with an update on your addendum. Adele's going to present this item. The recommendation is the application is approved subject to conditions and a Section 106 legal agreement to tie the profits of the sale of the proposed dwellings to the renovation of Bookshaw Hall. I have 1 registered speaker and objector, Angela Thomas. Angela, can you confirm you were able to speak and hear the proceedings?
Yes, I can confirm that, Chair.
Thank you. Adele, can you present the item?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
The application site is located within the Kirk Village of Bookshaw Hall, which is a Grade 2 style listed manor house, with the surrounding land having been developed into Bookshaw Village over recent years. Planning permission and listed building consent have both been granted for the conversion of the barn within the grounds of Bookshaw Hall to a dwelling and changes to Bookshaw Hall itself so that it can be brought back into use as a dwelling house. The current proposal involves the erection of 4 detached dwellings, which the applicant would sell to fund the renovations to Bookshaw Hall to make it suitable for modern living as a dwelling. Members will be aware that the council would not normally approve dwellings in such close proximity to a listed building, but sometimes it is necessary as enabling development to secure the future of historic assets. The profits from the sale of the proposed dwellings would be tied to the works to the hall via a Section 106 legal agreement. This would mean that the hall would have to be renovated first before any work could commence on the dwellings. The development has been amended twice since its original submission for various reasons, most notably to reorientate the proposed dwelling to limit the impact upon Bookshaw Hall, although it is acknowledged that there will still be some impact. Objections from 6 individuals have been received based upon issues including loss of light and outlook, land stability, issues of overlooking, concern about increasing traffic and concerns about the overall design of the dwelling on the basis that they're not in keeping with others in the area. The applicant surveyor has submitted a financial breakdown of the costs and profits for the dwelling and for restoring Bookshaw Hall. This is considered sufficiently robust to demonstrate that the dwellings are required to secure the proposed conversion works. It is expected that the proposal would cause at least less than substantial harm to the significance of Buckshaw Hall by introducing new dwellings of a modern design within close proximity and therefore impacting upon its setting. This harm, when weighed against the public benefits of the proposal in securing the future of the building in residential use, is on balance considered to be acceptable. The proposal is also considered acceptable in terms of highway safety and impacts upon the appearance of the surrounding area. It's also acknowledged that there would be some loss of amenity for the occupiers of surrounding properties, but again, on balance, it is considered that this harm would not be so severe to warrant refusal of the application. The application is recommended for approval subject to conditions and a 106 legal agreement, and I'll just draw your attention to further representations that are detailed on the addendum.
Okay.
The owner, excuse me, Chair, the owner of the site has circulated correspondence to local residents, setting out what he feels is a choice between housing or a commercial development on the site comprising containers. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Right, Angela, you can make the representations now. Alex, can you please start your timer?
Yes, Ms Thomas, I'll just start the timer for you now, 3 minutes.
Okay. I live at number 16 High Avenue, next to the proposal of plot 1 on the plan. I bought my house nearly 7 years ago because it was next door to a piece of history and in a lovely quiet Buckshaw. I love my house with the addition of the side windows that Redjo made a feature of, and I was looking out to a young orchard that they had planted. The windows let in lots of extra light, which is a big plus for me. The only planning that had been approved was the double garage and the kitchen garden, which was great. At no stage did I expect the fact that having the features that I love actually being a bane of my life and causing me stress each morning when I look out the windows. Over time, I've seen various uses of the hall, all with different plans and ideas. The removal of the apple trees came, I suspect, without permission, and things have gone south ever since. Plot 1 was already deemed to be unacceptable, yet this plot was not changed at all when the plans were reviewed and resubmitted, even after I openly expressed my concerns that they were clearly not taken into consideration by the current owner. I will be looking at a garage through my downstairs window and a gable end upstairs. Then there are other things to consider, the amount of tiling that will need to take place. As plot 1 is so close to my house, what damage will that cause? The additional traffic, the bins is also an issue. There could be up to 18 bins sat outside my property at once. I wonder how long it will take for them to end up in my garden, destroying it due to no turning circle in the property. I've looked at trucks and containers now for the past 2 months. Even though they should not be there, it is like there is no regard for rules and regulations. It's a disgrace that he should be allowed to conduct his business this way. Yesterday, as already been pointed to, Chris posted a letter through our doors, which is now on file. As I was chatting to a few neighbours about it, the owner approached us and said the council told him not to amend the plan for plot 1. It was not his decision. I said, you could have moved it anyway. He just blanked me. He then went on to say the meeting was a formality, that he already had planning permission. He also said that he did not get his, if he didn't get his, it was a bit of a contradiction from my point of view. He parked the truck as already expressed and more containers on the land. I explained it was a residential area, not commercial. Again, he blanked that. This now looks like bully tactics being used to get what he wants, which is disgraceful and immoral. I want the hall to be finished, but not to the detriment of me losing the reasons why I bought my house in the first place. There are many more reasons why the planning should not be approved. You have the comments and opinions from my neighbours expressing their thoughts, which I hope you will all be taking these into consideration before making your final decision. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go. Adele, do you want to come back on anything before I move to the members?
No, not at this stage, Chair.
Oh, not at this stage, okay. So I'll go through the members, ask for any comments, questions, any possible recommendations. Councillor Beaver.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, a few points, please. I am a little bit concerned about the proximity to the property, but it's not really any closer than the entire estate. The entire estate is very close together. So while I sympathise, there's nothing much different about that than everywhere else. It mentions on page 36 of para 6 various representations about the increase in traffic. Well, my son lives in that area, and I don't believe that the houses that would come onto this area would create that too much of a problem. I was a little bit concerned when I read the letter in the addendum saying about it might turn into industrial units. Well, you need planning for that anyway, and I agree with what she said about bully tactics. My main concern is that Adele mentioned that the profits were to make the improvements to the house, and that the house had to be done before the new houses could be built. What assurances do we have that the monies will be enough that he will do the house before he does the new houses? Is it a fixed condition that he has to do the hall before he starts on the houses?
Adele?
Through your chair, my understanding is there's a future sale dependent upon the grant of the planning permission, and it won't be the landowner who's actually doing this development. It will be a prospective purchaser. For any development, there is always an element of risk. We can only minimise that risk, and we would normally secure it through a Section 106 legal obligation, as is proposed in this instance. And that would be framed in such a way that the works to the hall would have to be done in advance of any works to the houses. One of the issues that can sometimes occur with this sort of development proposal is you can get so far through the project, and then for whatever reason, the cost has escalated, and then there's pressure on releasing the houses at a future date in time. So there's always an element of risk. The Section 106 obligation will frame it such that we would want the works to the hall pretty much completed, similar to what happened at Bank Hall. But as I say, there is an element of risk that cost could escalate, and the source of funding that is anticipated is not going to be there anymore. And I'm particularly conscious that there may be a step change. Nobody knows what's going to occur post-COVID. Nobody's sure about what's going to happen to the market. So in that respect, there's probably more of a risk than there was a couple of months ago. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Madam Chair, may I come back with that? Madam Chair, may I come back?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Well, yes, there is a risk, but I'll guarantee you costs will rise. There is absolutely no way that costs will not rise to do up the hall, particularly of how specialist it is.
Okay. Can I move on now?
Yep.
Councillor Boardman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think Adele summed it up quite well. For those of you who don't know, Bookshaw Hall is an impressive building, centuries old, but also the hall has undergone extensive renovation within the last 20 years. I think when Bookshaw Estate was developed, I think it was Redrow that undertook a considerable amount of work to the shell and fabric of that building to make sure it was safe and sound, and it was going to have some longevity. Obviously, there is a considerable amount of work still to do to that building, and I'm not adverse or even concerned that in order to fund the works to Bookshaw Hall, some development is required on that site. But I think we need to be mindful of what that development looks like. My concern, just looking at the style of the properties and the layout of the properties, that they encroach a little bit too much on Bookshaw Hall and the associated land around it. There's already a barn building, which was an original building, which has been converted into a residential dwelling, which is still pretty much period features. It's a brick-built construction. But I have to say, I do agree with the speaker with the style of the houses that's proposed. Don't bear any resemblance to the style of the houses on Bookshaw Village, and certainly don't bear any resemblance or any style or traditional values of that of the hall or the barn. So I'll reserve judgment at this point, but I would like to make a recommendation that I think we should all vote for a site visit, because I think this is a building of historical importance within the borough, and I think we need to be we need to actually visit the site to see the building from different perspectives
Okay.
to get a grasp of the proposal.
Right, thanks. Councillor Collins.
I would agree with a site visit. My concerns would be that if expenses are going to escalate so much that they might feel inclined to have to build more houses closer in order to finish the hall off, which would be, in my opinion, that would probably be my only comment, really. That the houses don't seem in character with the area either.
Thank you. Councillor Gordon-France.
Yeah, I don't know the site. I noticed there's a loss of light. That doesn't seem to be an issue. I think I would like to see a site visit as well, so I'd like to go with Councillor Boardman and Councillor Cons on that one.
Councillor G.
Yes, Chair, thank you very much. I'd actually like to move refusal on this one for the state. This is going back, good Lord, many years when Buckshaw was first given planning permission, and one of the conditions for giving planning permission was, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I can't remember how long ago, was that Buckshaw Hall and Worden Hall, which is further up the road there, were renovated by the developers from the proceeds of the houses. Now, Worden Hall, I think it's called Worden Hall, has been renovated. It's been done up quite nicely now, and it's not surrounded by houses, and it's quite pleasant. Now you come to Buckshaw Hall, which was in a worse condition. I agree. That has been renovated, but now they're asking for more money to do it up again, to do more money to do it up. Now, by selling, but the money that the four houses are going to generate, it is not going to be enough for any to do it. But my main concern is, where was the money from many years ago when planning permission was granted for the renovation of these buildings, and why is that money not there now? The four houses that are going to build in there, in my opinion, strong opinion, are definitely not in keeping with the area. They just won't look right against the building, the type of building it is. So I would like to move recommendation on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gray.
I'm against it as well. It's been going on many years, this, and we're not getting any closer. I can remember a time when we had a meeting with British Aerospace, and they were supposed to move that building near the colleges now on the car park, which would have cost £500,000 to move. It never came off. So I don't see why British Aerospace can't find some money towards that building to do it up, because it would have cost them a heck of a lot of money when we agreed to that. So I'm going to vote against it, the application.
Councillor Hargreaves.
I'll vote against, and I'll vote for a site visit.
Thank you. Councillor Holgate.
Yeah, well, I think, from a practical perspective, I can understand why the recommendation is as it is. But, I think it's just a step too far. And I really don't like the tactics of presenting letters to neighbours saying, take this, otherwise it could be worse by it being commercial, when there is no commercial activity allowed on that particular site as it is. So I'm inclined to go for refusal, but to give the benefit of the doubt and to get a clearer picture, I will agree to vote for a site visit.
Thank you. Councillor Marwood.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse me. I think it is definitely a fine balance, and I certainly, like others, have some reservations. In fact, a couple of reservations at least. plot 1, as was said by the objector. I'm not happy the fact that a 2-storey gable end wall will be 3 metres away from the bedroom window of 16 Knight Avenue. That does seem just a little bit over the top. But more importantly, I think the fact is that the importance of the hall is in fact in its setting, and surrounding it close up with 4 5-bedroomed properties just seems inappropriate. And I feel that, despite what might be said, I think it would be substantial harm to the setting and affect the significance of Buckshaw Hall. And so at this time, I'm happy to, I think, I would recommend, or second, if it's not been seconded, a recommendation for refusal.
Okay. Councillor Whittam. Councillor Whittam. We seem to have lost Councillor Whittam. I'll go on to Councillor Whittaker and then come back to Councillor Whittaker.
Thank you, Chair. I can remember the late George Birtle waxing lyrical about Astley Hall, and since that time there are not many places like this left in Chorley. The thing that I noticed particularly, that on paragraph 21 in the report, it says, I think it says the surveyor, I'm not quite sure whether that's Chorley surveyor or the applicant surveyor, thinks the financial assessment is sufficiently robust to renovate the hall. What if it isn't? He's got permission. It's almost like the developer is holding a gun to their head, saying, "Look, give us 4 or 5 bedroomed houses next to the hall. You'll have sufficient money to do the hall up." Paragraph 22, which is government guidelines, talks about ancient buildings like this in its setting. Now, I don't know where these houses are going to go. I can't work it out. But it seems to me that we should tread very carefully. We haven't got many places like Astley Hall left. And if there's a site visit, I'm sorry we didn't get one before, but I'll support a site visit this time.
Okay. Councillor Whittam.
Thank you, Chair. The mute button was certainly pressed. I like the idea of Grade 2 star listed buildings being brought back to the splendour, but the encroachment of these proposed new houses is far too close for my liking, and I'm minded to go for a site visit to get a better view of the situation, but if we come back later to it. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor France. Councillor Chris France.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just quickly, I think, to be honest, I echo Councillor Whittaker's statement here. I think it's very sad that so many of these old manor houses have been lost already, and it is a great concern that after money has already been spent on the renovation of this building, money from the Buckshaw development, for it to be lost, it seems sort of senseless. I think what's happened here is that the applicant's made absolutely no friends in the way he's gone about communicating with neighbours, and I think he's actually made it an awful lot harder for himself going forward. Personally, it's an iffy one. I don't see any reason to vote against it. I'm happy to go along with a site visit, but I think if you do go for the site visit, I'd suggest that the applicant does some work to try and repair some of the damage done by that letter.
Okay, thank you.
Chair,
sorry.
Sorry, can I come back in when you've spoken?
Well, I was just going to say I think a site visit would be a good idea, and perhaps we need to. I didn't like the letter, the tone of the letter, and who's to say we're giving planning permission to put his lorries there anyway? But that's another discussion to have at another day. So I'd be happy to go along with a site visit. Adele.
Right, thank you, Chair. Just to pick up on a couple of things that have been discussed in the initial stages of the debate, and just to make some matters clear. With regard to the renovation works that were done by the previous developers of Buckshaw, we've not been able to find any record of monies being secured from the wider development to actually upgrade Buckshaw Hall. Now, that may have been a missed opportunity, but there's certainly no record for that, so there's no monies available. British Aerospace no longer have an interest in this site, so there's no funding regime available for there. I have heard the discussion about a possible site visit. Can I urge you members to have a look at the photographs on the presentation? We've put those on to avoid the need for a further delay. I am very, very conscious that there's been a significant delay in getting a couple of items to committee because of the restrictions from the coronavirus pandemic. So I'm going to just urge you to have a look at those photographs before you debate it any further, just so you can see the hall and you can see the context within which it's set. Similarly, I've heard a proposer and a seconder for a refusal and concern expressed about the impact on the setting of the hall, and I think it was Councillor G that proposed refusal. Can I just be clear before you take it to the vote, and so that members are aware of what the reasons for your concern and potential reasons for refusal are, so that we have an accurate record of them? Because obviously, if you're refusing an application contrary to officer recommendation, it's important that the reasons are very clear and precise. Now, from what I've heard in the debate, there are essentially three areas of concern. The first being that the less than substantial harm to the significance of what is this Grade 2 style listed building are not outweighed by the benefits, and therefore the proposal is contrary to the framework, the core strategy and the local plan. Secondly, members have expressed concern about the harmful impact on the amenity of the occupiers of number 16 9th Avenue because of the proximity of the extension and the resultant overbearing impact that would have, which in effect would be contrary to policy BNE1 of the local plan. And thirdly, concern has been expressed that the dwellings themselves are out of keeping with the general idiom of built form in that area and therefore out of character with the area, which is detrimental to the immediate locality, again, which is contrary to local plan policy BNE1. It's important that members in putting forward a proposal are citing those specific reasons for refusal. But can I just urge you on the addendum, on the presentation, you will have photographs that might actually assist you rather than delaying any further in terms of a site visit. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor G, seeing as you propose refusal.
Yes, I propose refusal. I'm quite happy with that. What I like to go is the four buildings are being built too close to the hall. They're not in keeping with the hall. The proposed development is against, in my opinion, the policies that we have for that area. It will impact greatly upon the hall. And so they're the main reasons that I'd like to go for refusal.
Okay.
Madam Chair, may I speak?
Well, I'm going to go through
the
members of the committee again now before we move to the vote. Okay. Any more comments that you wish to make? Councillor Beaver.
Just really to echo the concerns that have just been outlined. I have looked at the photographs. My biggest concern is the proximity to number 16 and the size that there's 3-storey. Now, if there were 2-storey, and I know that we can't do this because it's what's presented to us today, I don't think it would quite be as bad. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Boardman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just reiterate what I said earlier. I mean, the developer is clearly looking to raise funds to fully refurbish the hall and barn. Well, hall actually is now, barn is complete. And you know, and in all honesty, if you look at the figures that he's put in his proposal, I don't think anybody's got that kind of money to spend on a building of that size because you'd never ever recoup your expenditure. So in principle, I do agree with the proposal of putting some residential dwellings on there. My concern is, are they the correct residential dwellings? And I don't believe they are, and certainly not with the style and the keeping and the layout and the proximity. but I still would, look at the photos, I'm staring at them now, but I still think that as a committee, we need to be mindful of looking at that hall from different elevations. And I think from Knight Avenue, looking across the site, we will certainly appreciate that those houses will significantly block the view to the hall. So I still move to the site visit at this moment in time.
Okay. Councillor Corns?
I don't have any other comments to make.
Okay. Councillor Franz? Gordon Franz?
No, I'm happy.
Councillor G, you've already said about refusal. Yeah. Councillor Gray?
I'm still with refusal.
Okay. Councillor Hargreaves?
I'm for the site visit, and I would also I would echo what Councillor Boardman has said, they're totally out of keeping with an historical building. And I'm really sure that they could get grants as well and crowdfund and attract money through parents. So I'm quite disappointed in the application, to be fair.
Okay. Councillor Holgate?
Yeah, well, I've slowly, over the course of the debate, come to the conclusion that if we lose the opportunity, the vote for a site visit, I will certainly be voting against, because I think the officers has presented us with a few considerations, such as being opposed to BNE1, being contradictory to the local plan, and being out of keeping in terms of style and proximity to the hall. So I think we've got lots of very good legitimate planning reasons to refuse, so that's what I'm inclined to do.
Okay. Let me up to Councillor Marwood.
Thank you, Chair. I won't dwell too long. It is an impressive building. I think we'll have to start some kind of campaign. I knew little about it up till now. That there must be a better way to get money to fund this building. But, Adele has outlined the three main reasons, which I totally agree with against this. I really see no reason for a site visit. It's crystal clear to me this is just not appropriate. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Whittam?
I agree with Councillor Morwood and others on this, in that mindful that it's not too feasible to have a site visit. I managed to vote against it because it's out of keeping and encroachment on a grade 2 star listed building.
Okay. Councillor Whittaker?
I'm in favour of a site visit.
Okay. Councillor Franz?
Well, thank you, Chair. Personally, I accept the comments made by the officer regarding this site visit and the fact that we do have a lot of these applications backlogged. And to be honest, I am familiar with this site, so I don't feel like I do require a site visit. What I would say is that on the balance of it, I'm not pleased with the actual style of buildings that applied for. Well, I think I can't in all good conscience vote against it, because I think it would risk the possibility of that building being restored. So I think I would have to propose the officer's recommendation.
Okay. Myself, I have no further comments to make at this time. So I've got a proposer and a seconder for a site visit. I've got a proposer and a seconder for refusal, and I've got a proposer for the officer recommendation, but no seconder. So I think we'll go do the site visit first. Alex, do you want to?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The proposal is members are being asked to vote on whether or not to defer a determination on this application for a site visit.
Okay. So I'll go through each member for, against, a site visit or abstain. Councillor Beaver?
For, Chair.
Councillor Boardman?
For, Chair.
Councillor Corns?
For,
Chair.
Councillor Franz?
For.
Right, visit Councillor G?
Against.
Councillor Gray?
Against.
Councillor Hargreaves?
For.
Councillor Holgate?
For.
Councillor Morwood?
Again.
Councillor Whittam?
Against.
Councillor Whittaker?
For.
Councillor Franz?
Abstain.
Right, and myself, I think I've said I wanted to go along with the site visit. I know what Adele said. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Members have voted by a majority for a site visit. and therefore to defer determination of the application.
Okay.
I've still got it side busy.
So,
Get a second bite, Tommy.
so that's proposal and a seconder for refusal. So we've got to do that, I suppose. Alex?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Chair, have we not taken a decision now? There's a clear majority for site visits.
Site visit?
Well, yes, but we have a proposer and a seconder for refusal. It was a seconder, you know.
Okay then, Chair. Well, the grounds for refusal are threefold. Firstly, that the application is contrary to the framework, the core strategy and the local plan. Secondly, that it's harmful to the amenity of number 16 being a nearby property and therefore contrary to policy BNE1. And thirdly, that the dwellings are not in character with the local area and therefore contrary to policy BNE1 of the local plan.
Okay, so it's either for or against refusal or abstaining. Councillor Beaver?
Against.
Councillor Boardman?
Abstain.
Councillor Corns?
I'll probably abstain as well.
Councillor France?
Yeah, I guess I'll abstain too.
Councillor G?
Oh, well, I'll definitely refuse.
Yeah. For refusal. Councillor Gray?
So just to be clear, Councillor G, obviously you're voting for the motion to refuse.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Councillor Gray?
Oh, sorry, Chair. Chair, can I just...
Yes,
Chair, there's some
Councillor Beaver.
confusion here. I'm voting against refusal.
Yes, I know.
Sorry, I'm voting for, against refusal. You're confusing myself here.
You confused me.
Can we start again,
It was
Chairman?
either
This is not
refusal,
good.
for and against. Right, or abstain. We'll start again.
Start again, definitely.
Each member's voting.
Sorry, Whittaker here, Chair. If I may
Yes, I
just,
know it is.
may I just say what Alex said was, as a committee, we've just passed a decision to go for a site visit. So we can't have that's the policy of the committee. Surely we can't go back. That's the policy. We can't undo that decision. We've just voted on it. That's what Alex said.
If we don't...
Excuse me. We haven't voted for or against. We had two recommendations on the table.
But the first one we vote on, that becomes the policy.
I know, but we've not voted for or against refusal. We had a proposal and a seconder, and that's what I'm doing now. Okay.
Chair, if we lose the vote to refuse, does that mean we've given permission?
Chair,
We need to take some legal advice, Chair.
Chair, it's Councillor G. Chair, it's Councillor G here. I'm quite happy to withdraw the motion for refusal and wait till the next meeting.
And go for a site visit.
I think that's wise.
I think that's what we normally do under these circumstances.
So I'm quite happy to withdraw my motion for refusal and wait till the next to see what happens with the site visit.
Okay, is that fine with everyone else?
Yeah, that's
fine.
fine.
That's what usually happens when we're in committee.
Yeah.
Real committee. Okay, thank you. Alex.
It's a pleasure.
Well, thank you, Chair. I've already said that members have voted to defer determination of the application for a site visit.
Thank you. Right. Moving on. Item 3C.
Oh, wow.
Exton Lane Strawberry Fields.
Oh, yeah.
I've no pages on my agenda. That's it. Adele's going to present this item, and it's recommended that the application is approved. I've no registered speakers. Adele?
Thank you, Chair. The application site is located to the north of Exton Lane, immediately to the west of the recently constructed digital hub office block. The principle has been established for the erection of these industrial units through the grant of outline planning permission, which also approves other uses on the wider Strawberry Field site, including dwellings, a digital health park, care home, etc., some of which have already been subject to approval of reserve matters Its reserve matters application seeks permission for the appearance, landscaping, layout and scale of 5 industrial employment buildings of various types and sizes of site. The proposal represents a partial resubmission of a previously approved reserve matters application to amend the unit to improve viability and deliverability. No representations have been received in relation to the proposal, and no objections have been received from any of the statutory or non-statutory consultees. The layout of the site is acceptable, and the buildings would be sufficiently set back from Exton Lane with parking and manoeuvring areas in front, therefore leaving a visual buffer between the road and the buildings along the Exton Lane frontage. An approved parameters plan sets out the scale of the proposed buildings that outline phase. For the part of the site to which this application relates, restricts building heights to 3-storey and 2-storey within approximately 35 metres of Exton Lane. The proposal fits within the parameters agreed outlined. The proposal is also considered acceptable in terms of impact on amenity, the level of parking spaces and landscaping and ecology mitigation and enhancement measures. The application is recommended for approval.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to go through the members for any comments, questions. Councillor Beaver.
Thank you, Chair. I'm minded to, I will go along with the officer's recommendation. Just have one question, please. It has been previously approved, but there was one question I asked then. Amongst all this, it says that there's a food type pub to be built, but it would only be built if it was decided that one was needed. If it was decided that one wasn't needed, given that Hertwood is just up the road and there are 2 on Buckshaw Village, is it possible that they could come back and say, there's no need for a pub, can we build more houses?
Adele?
Through you, Chair, where the pub was going was on a different parcel of land within the wider site, so the pub has never been proposed on this parcel of land. And I think that's actually been deleted from the scheme through a subsequent reserve matters. So obviously anything is possible in the future and any application may come forward, but the site that's actually before members today was never proposed for a pub on that part of the site.
Okay.
Chair, may I come back?
Go on, quickly.
Paragraph 3, line 3. Family pub associated access and landscaping.
Not on this bit.
Page 63, paragraph 3, line 3, at the end. Family pub, used class A4, and/or medical centre.
Yes, through you, Chair, that's on the wider site, not on this reserve matters parcel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Boardman.
No comments, Madam Chair. I think this is a good proposal. I like the sound of the buildings. I think they'll suit the site, and I'm happy to go with the officer's recommendation.
Councillor Carnes.
I'd be prepared to follow approval for this.
Okay, Councillor G.
Yeah, I'm very happy with this. I don't know whether you move for. I'm happy to move for acceptance.
Okay, Councillor Gray.
I'm in favour of it, but there's just one thing I'd like to point out. The landscaping, when you're planting the trees, could we have some proper trees like oak trees, chestnut trees, instead of these fast-growing trees like silver birch? That's all I have to say.
Okay. Councillor Hargreaves.
I'll approve it. I'm quite happy with it.
Councillor Holgate.
I agree with Councillor Gray that we need some indigenous hardwood trees, but I think we need some of the faster growing stuff to create because, that's the way to go. Yeah, okay.
Councillor Marwood.
Mixed foliage.
Not against it.
Happy to support the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Whittam.
I'm happy to go along with the officer's recommendation on this one.
Thank you. Councillor Whittaker.
Comment.
Councillor Whittaker.
No comment.
Okay. Councillor Franz.
No comment.
Myself, that's okay. I don't know if anybody else has any other comments, because everybody seems to be in favour. I've had a formal proposition from Councillor G, but nobody has seconded that.
I'll second it.
Steve, Councillor Holgate, was that you?
Yeah, it was.
Right, Councillor Holgate, then it saves us going through everybody again. Okay, so it's to move the officer recommendation. Alex, are you going to do that for me,
Yes,
please?
thank you, Chair. Just to confirm, members are being asked to vote on a motion to approve the planning application subject to the conditions in the report.
Okay, right, so it's 4 and against or abstaining. Councillor Beaver?
4, Chair.
Councillor Boardman?
And 4.
Councillor Cons?
4, Chair.
Councillor France?
4, Chair.
Councillor G?
4.
Councillor Gray?
4.
Councillor Hargreaves?
4.
Councillor Holgate?
4.
Councillor Morwood?
4.
Councillor Whittam?
4.
Councillor Whittaker?
4.
Councillor France?
4.
Myself, I'm 4. Alex?
Thank you, Chair. Members have voted unanimously to approve the application subject to the conditions in the report.
Excellent, we're almost there. Item 3D, Wickley Woods and Claytonley Woods Parish Club, pages 239 Preston Road. I don't know the pages because it's not been put on my agenda. There's an update on your addendum. Ian's going to present this item. It's recommended that the Section 73 application is approved. I have no registered speakers. Ian, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Members will recall that planning permission was granted in March 2018 for the erection of a 3-storey split-level building comprising a GP surgery, pharmacy and community cafe with associated car parking access and landscaping following the demolition of the Clayton and Whittle Parish Club building. The site's located in a prominent position on Preston Road in Clayton-le Woods, and the parish building has since been demolished. The development's now being progressed by the council, and this application seeks permission to vary conditions 3, 4, and 5 attached to the original planning permission for the development in order to reduce the scale of the building through removing the 3rd floor, whilst taking the opportunity to reconfigure window and door openings and to update materials. The car parking would also be rearranged. The amended scheme would continue to result in a prominent landmark building, providing a valuable community facility, albeit of a lesser scale. And the change from white render to timber cladding would result in a less stark appearance that would be more harmonious in the street scene. The impacts on the character of the area would therefore remain acceptable. There'd be no unacceptable impacts on neighbour amenity over and above the previously approved scheme, and no additional highway or ecology impacts. Overall, it is considered that the proposed amendments to the planning permission are acceptable, and the application is recommended for approval subject to conditions. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Ian. I'm just going to go through everybody now for any comments, questions, any proposals. Okay, Councillor Beaver.
Thank you, Chair. No comments. I approve the officer's recommendation and suggest it goes forward. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Boardman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just one comment regarding the conditions, one for Adele, really. We voted at Council to significantly improve this building by putting some sustainable and renewable energy into it. Solar was one of them we talked about at Council. Another one was suds, as in porous paving, etc. And also building it to a BREEAM excellent standard. And I just wondered why they aren't featured in any of the conditions.
Adele.
Ian, do you want to come back onto this?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I mean the application is simply to amend existing conditions relating to the appearance and the design. Obviously, with it being a council scheme, the council could go above and beyond what might be anticipated through the planning consent, as it's in the control of the authority. And no additional conditions have been sought by the applicant on this occasion, which is the council.
Okay.
Can we come back on that, Chair? That's correct. That's correct. But also the council could choose not to as well. And that's the same with any developer who's building a building of this size, and hence why conditions are put in place normally to make sure that that actually is done during the development stage.
Okay. Councillor Carnes.
No comment to make on it.
Councillor Fram. Gordon.
This is a vastly needed health centre in the area. Just one quick question for officers. There isn't a reduction in parking spaces, is there, with the change in conditions?
Through you, Chair. No, there's no reduction in the parking spaces. It's just a rearrangement of how those spaces will be laid out.
So there's just as many, that's fine.
Thank you. Councillor G.
Happy to move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Gray.
I'll be going along with the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Hargreaves.
Just 2 points. I'll hold Ian Crossland to above and beyond. So I've noted that down. The other thing I would just say is regarding the parking decisions, are they going to be narrower, a bit like Strawberry Fields when the particular part when it was open, some of the car parking spaces were too narrow? Can you assure me that that's not going to happen?
Ian?
So in relation to the parking spaces, they comply with the council standards.
Okay.
Thank you, Ian.
Councillor Holgate.
Yeah, I think there's a fair point being made on a couple of occasions about the need to have a quality building there, which includes environmental features. And whilst I recognise that it's not beholden to us to have that as a condition, I think the essence of what we're saying is that we really ought to be asking the council to do that, even perhaps on an unofficial basis. I used to play whist and badminton in that building, so it's good to see it going through a good use. Yeah, but it's both the same. Ambidextrous, yeah. So yeah, I agree with the conditions, but I also agree with the permission.
Okay. Councillor Marwood.
Yes, on our own head, if we don't actually make this a good building, and and we have all the good environmental issues dealt with. Yeah, we know Councillor Boardman's and so do I, and so do a number of other councillors. So I think we'll be keeping a PDI on this. Just one serious another point.
Sorry.
We're losing the pharmacy and the cafe, from what I gather. Okay, I'm not too worried about the cafe. I mean, people hanging about and they're not to surgery with all sorts of illnesses, I'm not too sure. The pharmacy, do I presume from that there is still a pharmacy fairly close to the original surgery, and therefore it won't involve people having to travel much further to get their prescriptions, etc.? Does anybody answer that?
Ian?
Yeah, through you, Chair. To be honest, I don't know where the nearest pharmacy is in the locality. This is a decision that's been taken by the applicant to remove that element from the scheme. I don't know why it's been removed. It may be commercial reasons of setting up and getting an operator to run a pharmacy. It might be due to the lack of space. I don't know the reasons why it's been removed, and I don't know where the nearest pharmacy is as an alternative either.
Okay.
Chair, can I just ask?
Excuse me. Can we go through everybody, and I'll come back if you have any further comments?
Right, okay.
Okay. It's the only way I can do it. Councillor Whittam.
I think it's a great idea. There is a pharmacy just down the road opposite.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I can have you muted. Councillor Whitaker.
No comment.
Thank you. Councillor Franz. Chris.
I'm in favour of it. No comment.
Right. So everybody, what I will do, I think I've got a proposer and a seconder. Proposed by, I'm not sure. Councillor Beaver, seconded by Councillor Gray, I think. To move the officer recommendation. I'll go through anybody, any further comments if they have any. Councillor Beaver, any further comments?
No further comments.
Councillor Boardman?
No comment, Chair.
Councillor Collins?
No comment.
Councillor Gordon-France?
It must be a commercial decision because GPs, of course, can have a dispensing practice, so the GPs must have decided they didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Councillor G?
No comment.
Councillor Gray?
Well, I didn't second it, but I will do it.
Not? Sorry. Will you do formally, thank you. Councillor Hargreaves?
For?
No, we're just saying any more comments.
Are there any more comments? Yeah, Gotham City Limited is the chemist further down the road, Little Surgery, owned by a company there.
Yeah,
and we were rather hoping that the doctor's surgery would actually use those as well, but we'll see.
Okay. Councillor Holgate?
No comment.
Councillor Marwood?
No further comment.
Councillor Whittam?
No further comment.
Councillor Whittaker?
No comment.
Councillor Franz? Councillor Franz?
No comment.
Alex?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So members are being asked to vote on the officer recommendation, which is to approve the Section 73 application subject to the conditions in the report.
Okay, so that's for and against the officer recommendation or abstain. Councillor Beaver?
For.
Councillor Boardman?
For.
Councillor Corns?
For.
Councillor Franz?
For.
Councillor G?
For.
Councillor Gray?
For.
Councillor Hardreaves?
For.
Councillor Holgate?
For.
Councillor Morwood?
For.
Councillor Whittam?
For.
Councillor Whittaker?
For.
Councillor Franz?
For.
And myself, for.
Thank you, Chair. Members have voted unanimously to approve the Section 73 application subject to the conditions contained in the report.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 4, appeals pack. The appeals report, which is in your pack. Adele, any comments?
And just bear with me, Chair, while I get to that page.
I'm there.
Is it for noting, Chairman, or is it to be voted on?
It's got to be voted on. You're not running away now.
Okay, doke.
Make you aware there are 3 appeals that have been lodged, and because of the time period since the last committee meeting, I'll just bring you to your attention the appeal at Pear Tree Lane, which the inquiry is due to open next month for being well, for the residential development on safeguarded land. And also just to bring to your attention as well, one of the appeals that's been lodged against an enforcement notice on land adjacent to Wigan Lodge. That's an enforcement notice regarding fencing that's been erected, and you may recall that planning permission has been previously refused for that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Okay. So can we
bit of feedback.
Vote for that pack, please. Councillor Beaver. Councillor Boardman.
For.
Councillor Corns.
For.
Councillor Franz.
For.
Councillor G.
Chair, can I, before I vote, can I ask a comment on this, please?
Go on then.
Yeah,
and then you can vote.
Yeah, we'll vote. Yeah, it's naturally it's Pear Tree Lane, Exton. Could I ask, how is this going to be conducted? Will this be a virtual one, or will it be done at the town hall? Do we know how it's going to be conducted?
Adele.
Councillor, I don't think that's actually been finalised as of yet. I think there is some discussion about having it virtually, and if it's not possible for it to be virtual, it would be pushed back rather than on that date. That's probably going to be determined following a pre-inquiry conference later this week.
Okay.
Fair enough there. Yes. When the decision is made, would you let the councillors know? Because naturally, I'm interested in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll undertake to notify local ward members about the arrangements for the inquiry. Yeah.
So you're going to.
Okay.
Can you accept that report?
Happy with that report, good Chair.
Councillor Gray.
For.
Councillor Hardreaves.
For.
Councillor Holgate.
Approve.
Councillor Morwood.
Just before I say approved, it's just can I congratulate Adele for refraining from pointing out that the appeal that was allowed, we did vote against the recommendation, and so we'll no doubt take note of that next time. Anyway, thank you.
Oh, you tinker.
Wasn't it was member's decision. Councillor Whittam.
For.
Councillor Whittaker.
For.
Councillor Franz.
For.
And myself, for. Alex.
Thank you, Chair. Members have voted unanimously to note the appeals report.
Thank you very much, everybody, for your patience. We survived.
Chair, just before you go, I'm just going to put my phone down. I'm going to try and reconnect with whatever's left of the meeting using my iPad just to see it work. So you might not hear me again if it doesn't work technically.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you all for your forbearance. We've managed it. And I look forward to speaking with you all again on Thursday.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks. Adele, stay we are.
Are you going to have
Oh, sorry.
Are you going through recommendations for next time round?
Well, yeah. Well, perhaps if you've any comments on today's meeting, rather than if you email them to Philippa, you know, any glitches, things like that, that might be easier.
Fair enough, Chair.
Yeah. My comment is, my beef is, you need to ring us earlier in advance.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So that we're all online.
I should go for officers first, and then make sure they're all in place, and then go for.
We never get a better phone call. There's obviously an issue with the Teams bit. I would have said.
Because so fair was officers weren't able to connect. We've been able to connect on all previous occasions, but this time we weren't able to connect. So we need to find out, find out why that was and get that fixed.
But I would rather us be hanging around for 5 minutes rather than being quarter of an hour late like we were.
Yeah.
Agreed, Chair.
You know.
Yeah, agreed.
It doesn't look good
No.
when we're doing that.
Just to note that I think we had gone public while we were still trying to connect everybody up. So we were giving out people's personal mobile
phone numbers, yeah,
across the airways, really. So that was, I doubt many people have taken note of that, but we just have to be aware. Maybe you'll have to keep reminding us that we are going public. You know, anybody can hear it.
A comment.
The other thing I would comment to do with that, there's a lot of background noises and things. I'm sure somebody made themselves a brew in the middle of that meeting, judging by the noises that were going. People need to be mindful.
Probably everybody.
We can pick that up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound good when you're on here. It's very distracting, you know.
Yeah.
So get yourself ready beforehand. Is what I'm saying.
Councillor Boardman here, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Can I just let you know that I'm not available Thursday? I had let Philippa know a couple of weeks ago I couldn't make the Thursday meeting.
Okay.
So there may be a stand-in. I'll see who's sorted.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Chair, we've got a delegated decisions timetable for 11 o'clock on Thursday, but I think that should be a briefing rather than delegated decisions. I'll circulate a delegated decisions then electronically tomorrow.
Okay. I was just mindful of the fact that we were trying to contact Alex at one point, and he was ringing us.